good investment? I have personal experience with this. Are timeshares, I'm gonna be very specific here. Are timeshares good real estate investments? The answer is no. Now, I'm not hating on timeshares, and there's different kind of timeshares, and by and frank, well, and there's more like, they're not really timeshares, they're more like real estate shares. The reason they call it a timeshare is it's actually not really as a value proposition about the real estate is about the time. So if you're a working class person, right, and I want you all to watch this documentary, The Queen of Versailles, which talks about this billionaire dude who David Siegel is his name, who was and is in the timeshare business, and he explains it in the documentary how his son explains how they separate working class people from their wallets. Don't take my word for it. Just watch it yourself. But let me just get into this, straight away. That's just entertaining. This is factual. Timeshares. If you're a working class person, you're a postal worker, you're a teacher, you're some kind of a structured job, and you don't think you can afford, vacations, but you need to get away, and you want to know you can get away, and you know exactly what time of the year you're going to get away because your vacation is the same time every year. You can schedule that in advance. You want to go to some fancy place that you don't think you can afford. They really, again, they catch you on the emotionalism here, and the dreaming aspects, and you don't think you can, afford to go and own one of these some fancy place in some fancy location. Then they get you on a free trip, a free stay, but they know that you'll never make it to the free stay before they warm you over with a presentation that 9 times out of 10 will have you writing a check or signing a very expensive loan agreement, or making some other commitment that allows them to separate you from your wallet. I know because it happened to me. And the only real estate investment that I've lost money on that I can remember, by the way, maybe it might have happened. The only one I can remember was a timeshare, and it's actually happening right now. I'm selling a timeshare I bought 30 years ago. 30 years ago. I bought it emotionalism because of civil rights leader in South Central LA who I was trying to befriend. I was trying to impress. I was trying to make him my friend, and I'm sure trying to get a free week's vacation, and was told that if he sell this timeshare to somebody else, some other dupe, dud or bonehead like me, that he could get a free week. And nice guy. I don't want to mention his name because everybody will know who it is in LA. But I bought it. 30 years later, I am just now rinsing the shirt that I got washed in from this so-called investment, and I'm getting out of it when it closes less than a third of what I paid for it. But when you factor in all the management fees and the maintenance fees, it's like $3,500. I bought this thing for $35,000, 2 weeks of timeshare on the beach, across from the beach in Newport Beach. Sounds great, doesn't it? And I own partial real estate of this development in Newport Beach on the beach. Unbelievably beautiful, storyline. And I lived in South Central LA, so driving to Newport Beach, I was like, "Oh my God, I can own a piece of this," right? Uh, but when I sold that 30 years later, and paid $3,500 a year, I think it was $3,500 a year, $1,500, $1,800 per unit per year in maintenance fee. And if you don't pay the maintenance fee, they default you in the agreement. And luckily, and I financed it with their ridiculous interest rate financing, that the in-house financing they did. It was some crazy interest rate, 18% or some crazy thing. I don't even think about it. It was just so high, gave me a nosebleed. I ended up paying that off, thank God, a decade ago on the debt side, the loan side. So I own the crappy investment free and clear. But I still had to pay the maintenance fee every year. If I didn't pay the maintenance fee, they could default me on my ownership agreement and put a lien against my ownership and take my ownership, because if I don't pay the maintenance fee over 2 or 3 or 4 years, they own the dang on thing because it's worth more than I can sell it for. According to them, because they control, by the way, the outcome of the real estate, which is one of the really important pieces about why I don't like timeshares. With fee simple real estate, I control when I buy, when I sell, how I negotiate, what I do with it. On timeshares, they control it. I already got it wrapped up in my own stories. Let me just finish it. Now tell you why I think it might be good for you. This is why it's bad, right? So I'm selling that thing for, I think I'm getting $10,000, $9,800 or something for one of the two units. and I don't know, I'm getting, by the time I get out of this, I will have lost on the principal investment. So I paid 35, $38,000 30 years ago. I will earn, I will sell it for less, probably $10,000 less is my guess than the purchase price. This is real estate on the beach in Newport Beach. And when you factor in the $3,500 or $3,800 a year in maintenance fee, I mean, it's simple math. Over 30 years, I got washed, I got soaked, right? And I didn't want to go after a few years, I didn't want to go to this place anymore. But I was stuck with it. Then I had to fly there and pay for plane tickets and blah, 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 blah. So from an investment perspective, it sucked. It was horrible, right? Um, but I should have knew what I signed up for. They didn't force me. They didn't twist my arm. I'm not hating on them. There was good marketing, good manipulation, and good emotionalization because this guy got me to do it because I was trying to impress him. It's like a bad marriage. Easy to get married, hard to get divorced, right? I've been trying to get out of this dang on thing for a decade and a half, right? And you could transfer this timeshare to another part of the country, another part of the country, but every place they wanted to transfer me to, I didn't like it. Like I'm like, if I got to go someplace and my house is better where I'm going, then I definitely not going. Or if I'm used to something that's better than what you're going to put me in, I'm definitely not going. Anyway, so you can tell I'm sort of bitter about the whole thing. But it was my fault, right? Now, here's where it's a good idea. If you want a no hassle, plug and play vacation once a year and your income is going to stay pretty stable over the course of your life. So I had huge jumps in income and wealth, thank God. So I was able to look at the world through different prisms over different times. And so I didn't want to go to the same place that I used to go to 20, 30 years ago. Wasn't interesting to me anymore. I want to own the resort, not stay in it. But if you're my mother or my father or my cousin, and your income is the same year over year, decade after decade, and you just want a vacation, then the best, then a good, then that time share, right? Where and the other problem was as an entrepreneur, I never knew when I was going to have a week or two to myself, and it would change every year because I'm hustling and running and gunning. But those I couldn't change. This also offended me. I couldn't change the dates. What do you mean? I own the place. What do you mean I can't change the date when I stay there? Because you own it with other owners, right? And those other owners have a say. They've put in weeks that they want to reserve, and the managing partner of that, which is in this case was a hotel situation, they control the narrative. So I could say whatever I want. I'm a limited partner to the general partner. I learned so much from owning that property. So it was actually gave me a PhD in what not to do. And you're hearing the backstory on that. I'm saving you a whole bunch of money now. But if there are benefits to it, but one of them is not real estate investment or investment. It is what it sounds like. Time share. You're sharing the time in a piece of real estate that is in a location hopefully you're gonna love for the rest of your life, or part of a network that you're gonna love and can switch out for the rest of your life. And you don't mind the monthly payments or the amount that you paid for it in advance, and you don't mind the maintenance fees because that's that you're part of a experience that would cost you, in your opinion, 10 times more. Okay. I mean, and by the way, the place I stayed in once or twice a year, if I wanted to buy that place, I think about it now. Today, across the street from the beach, condo, sort of. I mean, it would be a couple, $1.5 million condo. Let's say $1.5 million condo. Maybe 2 million. Now, when I bought it, 300,000. So when I bought it, 300,000, 350,000, 350,000. I bought it for 38,000 dollars. So yeah, I'm like, oh, this is a great deal. I'm getting a rich man's experience for poor man's money. But that's not where I am today, right? So it just depends on the person. Now, by the way, there are wealthy examples of this where it's not timeshare, it's real estate share, where you're buying part of a mansion, part of a 10,000 square foot home in Mexico. Or, by the way, these timeshare things are Las Vegas, Miami, Jamaica, Bahamas. They're all over the place. You can find them everywhere, right? So just be careful and never make an emotional decision, because whenever you make an emotional decision, it's going to be wrong, just like the one I made. But once you become more affluent, there are networks of uh, there are these companies that you can basically buy a percentage of a yacht, percentage of a RV, percentage of a race car, percentage of a vacation home in different parts of the world or whatever, and you really own, a fourth of it or whatever it is, and you meet the people and then you like the people, cool, and you're dealing with sophisticated investors and sophisticated management companies, and when you want out, it's a typically, a decent deal when you exit, and they facilitated it for you, and you sort of you could anyway. The wealthier you get, the more knowledgeable you are, the more sophisticated you are, the more financially literate you are, the better your chances that a shared equity situation will turn out giving you value. But if you're low income, low wealth, low financial literacy, desperate, with a surviving mindset, you got too much month into your money, you're stressed out, you don't know the numbers, you're not paying attention, you finance the thing with the sponsoring companies finance, wrong. You didn't pay attention, you're gonna get nailed. The likelihood you're gonna get nailed with something that's going to, and by the way, in this thing, and if you don't pay, they'll ruin your credit. Like they'll threaten you. Like they'll call you every month. Like, where's the money? And then the debt collection piece becomes another business that they have. They have some of these companies, the lower end, not as ethical, have debt collection departments because they financed it for you, and then they are charge you debt collection fees, late fees. They're paying you. They're charging you money on their own money. They're charging you fees on the money, the expensive money, the in many cases the predatory financing that they put in front of you and put you in. Well, they made their money three times on that thing if you paid it over time. So if you defaulted on it halfway through, they've already made their profit. Then they hit you with all kind of fees and late fees and default fees, and they chase you. And then you just want to be done with it. So you send them a going away present, a check, and you sign off on it. And they take that and remarket it. They remarket the same property to some other person who's going to be their next victim. So just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It looks too good to be true. That should be the whole title this whole week. If it looks too good to be true, it normally is. All right. Love you. Love you much. And then you have any questions, go to Operation Hope. Talk to one of my Hope Financial coaches. Tell them John Bryant sent you, and I gave you a whole lecture about how I lost money on timeshare and don't want you to lose any money. There are good timeshare companies out there. There are good experiences. So I'm not dumping on timeshare companies. I'm just saying it's not designed at the lower end for low income people. It's not designed to benefit you financially. That's why they call it a timeshare and not a revenue share or a real estate equity investment share. And they don't emphasize return on an investment. It's return on fun. All right. Peace.